Oh, thank you for coming in today.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you having us on the show here.
Yes.
What's your name for the record?
My name's Martin Consatio.
Consatio, huh? Consatio. That's a strange last name. What nationality is that from?
Actually, it's a Portuguese last name.
Okay, so you're Portuguese.
Actually, my family's heritage is from the Cape Verde Islands.
Cape Verde Islands. Oh, I've never heard of that. Where's the Cape Verde Islands? Where are they located?
They're located in the Atlantic Ocean, approximately 500 miles west of West Africa.
Okay.
It's a chain of islands, pretty similar to like the Hawaiian Islands, and there's about 13 islands, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you first generation, second generation? When did they come over?
Actually, my grandfather came over with my grandmother first from the Cape Verde Islands, and then of course they started a family, and then from that family, I came from one of his daughters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what would your family do over in the Cape Verde Islands, and then when they came over here, what kind of work were they part of?
I think my grandfather was pretty much into the farming business. They're pretty much third world country as far as development. They were mostly farming and fishing. And when he came over here, that was one of his first jobs, working on a farm over in Tiverton, actually. And then his brother, actually, who came here first, actually got him to do some work down on the waterfront. And actually, he did 2 whaling voyages as a whaler.
No, this is your grandfather?
Yes, at the turn of the century, one of the last periods of whaling.
Oh, wow. That's great. So now you grew up here in New Bedford?
Yep, born and raised in New Bedford all my life. Went through elementary, middle school, and high school.
Any siblings growing up?
I have a stepbrother that I grew up with from age of 7, actually, and many cousins, of course.
Cousins, yeah. So now, Cape Verdean people, where do they lie as far as like race? Would they be Caucasian? Would they be Hispanic? Would they be black? How do they describe themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, Cape Verdean people are made up of a variety of nationalities. Of course, being a set of islands and being visited by many countries during the sailing days, you find from Caucasian, light-skinned people living there, all the way to very African-looking people, having their roots, of course, from Africa.
Yeah. So would you say the majority of Cape Verdeans that would consider themselves black?
Yeah, I think so. From
Yeah.
what I've known of Cape Verdean people here and the ones that live there. Yeah.
Now, when you were growing up, what years was that approximately? 50s, 60s, 70s?
I was born at the beginning of the 50s, of course, so my early childhood was in the 50s, teenage years in the 60s. Attended high school and college in the 70s, and got married in the 70s and started a family in the early 80s.
Okay. So now, growing up, was there a lot of Cape Verdeans in the school systems around here?
I would say it's a small minority. It's not that big of a part of the population. Of course, a major portion of Cape Verdean people ended up living in the south end of the city in one area there, and then from there they kind of ventured out, moved out. My grandfather, when he moved here, he decided to move into the west end of the city, and that's where we grew up.
Okay, so on
Yeah.
the west end. So now you were still considered the minority. Now, how was it in school as far as race concerned? Was there ever any racial slurs that people were talking either directly to you or to other Cape Verdean or African Americans that you knew of?
I think for the most part they were pretty much accepted. Like I said, being a mixed race, question would always come up, what are you? And over the years, sometimes I would just tell the people I was Cape Verdean and give them a little bit of a history, how they were part of the Portuguese domination kind of thing. And then sometimes I would just ask people, well, what do you think I am? And I'd get back a number of different answers. Some people thought I was Hawaiian, some people thought I was from India, Mexican, that sort of thing. But I think speaking to Cape Verdeans like myself growing up, I think we're pretty much accepted in New Bedford. When you left this area, I'm not sure what happened to people's acceptance, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, Cape Verdeans, do they have their own language they speak, or?
Well, of course, they had the mother tongue, which was Portuguese, since they were part of the Portuguese domination. But the people on the island developed their own little dialect, which dialects usually called Creole, and they had a Creole dialect, which was made up from Portuguese language and languages from Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, were you raised speaking Creole, or were your parents spoke Creole, or?
I think until I was about 6, I spoke Creole and understood it. Once I started going to school, our family didn't push it as much as a second language, so I, eventually lost most of it. My aunts and uncles spoke it, of course, with their parents, who also spoke English. My grandparents spoke English.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how would you describe the cultural identity of your family growing up?
Well, we were always accepted. We knew we were Cape Verdeans, and that we knew that we were hardworking people. And I think, in general, my grandparents developed a sense in our family of helping people, being good to people. Most of my aunts and uncles ended up going into the public service portion of employment, and that seemed to trickle down to my generation and the next generation. A lot of us work with public service, and I think overall we were brought up to accept people, and I think that was a good thing.